Our next intriguing wine rendezvous in Kentucky horse country was at the Gene Farris Winery that also boasts of award-winning wines and a fine restaurant and locally grown vegetables. But the name Gene Farris is also intriguing, especially for people like me with enough high school French to be annoying to Chris Gillespie, the restaurant manager at Gene Farris. So, are you the famous Jean Ferry?
Famous Jean Ferry?
Yeah, Jean Ferry. Isn't that what this winery is named for?
Well, no. The winery is named actually a combination of two names. It's actually Gene Farris. It's a husband and wife ownership. The wife's name is Jean. That's where we get Gene from, in Gene Farris. And the husband's his middle name is Farris. That's where we get Gene Farris from.
So there is no Jean Ferry?
There is no Jean Ferry. We're in Kentucky, so it's still Gene Farris.
But there is really no Gene Farris, is there?
There is no Gene Farris, no. No person named Gene Farris on this property.
But this property has some great wines. The Cab Franc was magnifique.
Our particular Cab Franc is a very unique Cab Franc. Just kind of out of stroke of luck, we got this very special grape, clipping of vines of Cab Franc. The clipping of vines we got for our Cab Franc is known as the king vine, the king grape, known as throughout the world as the best vine in the world. And our clippings of Cab Franc come from those vines.
And that's what makes it so different here? Because it's a great Cab Franc.
Yeah, it's very unique. It's just the creme de la creme of the Cab Francs that we got.
Maybe the biggest surprise was the Gene Farris Petite Syrah. I would skip dessert for another glass of this vintage.
It's actually a very unique Petite Syrah. The previous vintage, however, wasn't as fruity. It was just that particular year, the grapes chose to present themselves that way. So our particular Petite Syrah right now is very velvety, very fruity, has the wonderful undertone of chocolate to it that just makes it very smooth and rich, and not as harsh or bold and in your face as a Petite Syrah is notoriously known for. And so we just kind of lucked out on that one.
Another uniqueness to Kentucky wines could be the soil. Once used by tobacco farmers, many think they're tasting tobacco in the wines. Chris thinks it's something else.
I think that's just a characteristic of some of the wines, how they present themselves as they mature through the aging process and age in the bottle as well. Per se, that there might be some residue of tobacco going into the vines at some point. Possibly, but on this particular property, this was a tobacco field maybe 20 years ago. Would that still be in the soil to give that characteristic? Not necessarily. It's just how the grapes are presenting themselves.
Well, here at the Gene Farris Winery, they're presenting themselves nicely into awards.
The original award we won, the most prestigious first award we won, was a double gold medal at the International Indianapolis Wine Competition for our Tempest. A double gold medal is when all of the judges at the wine competition decide that your wine is a gold medal wine. And that's usually a big deal because there's usually 50 to 60 judges and they all agree, which is very rare in itself. Wines that are rare, unique, and Kentucky. Let's toast to that intriguing combo. Cheers. We appreciate it. Thank you.